So I need you to look to the camera, please, so I can take a photo with you. Oh, god damn it. Okay. Okay, you're good to go. Hello, everybody. It's another episode of of Couch Tomatoes movie chat. I forgot to change the title. I didn't do it right. Forgot the movie chat part. Movie chat. Shall I get Justin in here with us? Let's get Justin in here with us. Dear Justin, is that your lovely voice there, my friend?
Yeah.
I turn you up now because you're low for me. Because I turned the volume down
Oh,
on my end. I turned my volume down on my end because the music plays really loudly to be able to hear on stream. Anyway, turn off the screen. We're here. We're live. Hi, everybody. Hey.
hello.
Ta-da! We're doing a stream. Can you believe it? I can hardly believe it.
We actually managed to do a stream just 2 weeks after the last stream.
It's like it rarely happens.
Nowadays, it's like
Yep.
something gets in the fucking way.
I realize people watch both Don't Breathe and both A Quiet Places,
Yes.
which are actually pretty much set in the same world somehow.
One of these franchises has a future. One of them does not.
Well, they could still salvage Don't Breathe by going with the third movie, and that ignores the second one entirely.
We'll get into that later.
God, well, you can just go right into Don't Breathe. Like, might as well just start with that one. Because that's the very first thing on our list, so Don't Breathe. We end with Quiet Place, I think. Maybe we'll just do Quiet Place after Don't Breathe. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how the flow of the conversation goes. Anyway, so, some thoughts on
Don't Breathe?
Don't Breathe, yeah.
All right, so I had seen Don't Breathe before you. I can't remember when. It was probably like a year or two after it came out. But
Okay.
or how for that matter. I don't know how either. But I watched it because I was curious because, in the horror community it was getting a little bit of buzz. And
Just a little.
so just a little bit. And
A
so
bit
I
of
was like,
buzz,
all right,
yeah.
let's check this out. Because it didn't look really great to me. It looked like an interesting concept, but one that hadn't entirely not been done before.
Mm-hmm. I
And
mean,
so
it's basically just an extrapolation of that one scene where no one tries to breathe and make noise in the slasher film. It's just that, but 2 whole movies worth.
there's also movies like what is it, Wait Until Dark, and God, there's another movie
I
I'm
don't think I've
thinking
seen
of.
that. I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Neither have I, but like my point is those types of
It's
movies where
Hush.
they kind of
Hush has got a deaf person in it.
yeah, where they kind of subvert your expectation
Oh right,
and
yeah, yeah.
flip things on their head,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the person who would normally be would have normally have the advantage ends up not actually having the advantage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's
It's like
been done
life.
before in movies. It's not entirely original, but it's also not something you see all the time. So it's I don't think it's all. I also don't think it's fair to just say, "Oh, cliche." It's like not really that cliche. Come on, it's been a while since we've seen a movie like that, and so on that level, I felt like it was a good movie. And the cinematography, of course, is perfectly acceptable, decent. I love the visual storytelling where they're kind of showing us the environment.
I mean,
So there's a
look,
point when you see there's a lock on a door and they just
I
go
will.
by it, but they kind of turn the camera a little bit to show the lock a little bit. So you're like, "Oh, why is there a lock on that door?" And then go under the bed. Oh, so he's got a gun under his bed. So like they're visually telling you things that'll come into play later in the film.
There's even they do a really obvious shot of a hammer that will come in play,
Mm.
and if you
Some of it's
yeah, I
too
will
fucking obvious.
I
Yeah.
yes, it's a little painfully on the nose. I would describe it. Uh, that's what obvious is. Painfully it's on the nose. It's like right here on the nose. You can see it. Can't hide it. The thing is, if you've seen too many true crime films or just really just a lot of fucking fucked up movies, you're probably gonna guess the third act twist. But
Yeah.
boy, howdy, was it fucked up. And
Oh
I have to
God.
warn you, there is the threat of rape in this film.
And honestly, it feels like it doesn't
Unnecessary.
need to be there.
It feels
Yeah, like
so unnecessary. Like I
this could
literally
be
was like, "Why is
this
this
could
here? Why is this
right.
here?" I was like, literally just, I was like, "Oh God."
They could like remove it from the film entirely, and it would still be a really good movie that
Yes.
just also didn't have rape, which would be a bonus.
Threat of rape. He didn't actually
Well,
rape
yeah,
anybody, but the threat was there.
yeah, but like
And it was a
without that
very
threat, it would have probably been a better film in my
it was a
estimation.
very
It's like,
graphic scene that
because it
really
really, you
yeah.
really didn't need to see that, and you really didn't like the character really didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
I
It's like we're gonna subvert your expectations, but in a really wrong way, in a very wrong way.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
like you already subverted their expectations. You don't need to like take it to the nth degree. For fuck's
we've
sake.
we've like had entire decades where threat was just or rape was used as like some easy to reach obvious threat for men to put on women, and it's sexist and bullshit and gross. And this movie didn't deserve it. Didn't need it. It was a great movie, and just would have been even better if it weren't fucking uncomfortable when it didn't have to be. It could have been 8 stars instead to 7. You know what I mean? And
Somebody will
and I'll
say,
tell you what, if he would have raped her, it would have been a 1 star movie. You get a 1 star for me right there, like completely unnecessary rape. That's how
and
it
somebody
works.
will say, but the point of horror movies is to make you uncomfortable. Yeah,
Yes, in a proper
make you
context,
uncomfortable, but not like fucking Jesus Christ. You don't need to go
like
that fucking far.
right. The
You
thing is
can
just
go
like
extremely far in terms of making somebody uncomfortable. You can go Texas Chainsaw Massacre levels.
yeah,
Fucking pieces of brain on the fucking like
you can do all sorts of
in
things.
Texas Chain Massacre 2003, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm talking about? The viscera and shit. Like you can get really fucked up in a horror movie and still not touch on a subject like rape, and that's a good thing. You don't have to go for what I almost wanted to call it low hanging fruit, but like it's worse than that. It's fucking just don't.
yeah. I mean,
Why?
like if you're gonna use rape, don't make it such a cheap thing. You have to like actually build a film around
Oh
what
yeah.
like that. You can't just like yeah. It's not like a deplorable scene. It's not like I mean the movie has all sorts of redeeming qualities
I feel like
that
it's
is
there
just
just for shock value at
yes.
that point.
It feels so out of place in the rest of this movie.
Yeah.
Like that little bit was just
If
like
if it had been something
all
like you said that was
like
building up to it or something.
when he says that one girl was pregnant, that was enough. We didn't need any more than that. That was enough
Yeah,
to make us understand
exactly.
the threat of what will happen without actually
To
having to go
understand
to
his
the lengths it
character,
does.
yeah.
And that being said, I like this movie, but that is a glaring problem with it and a lot of movies like it.
You could even go so far as to like show her being tied up the way that the other girl was. You don't have to go beyond that. The
Yeah,
implication is there
yeah,
already because of what we already know what happened to the other girl. So
precisely.
like, yeah,
And it was
it's
like you're right. It is there for cheap shock value, and it adds nothing to the movie. It doesn't up the stakes. It doesn't do anything for the movie. It does nothing. It's such a oddly placed scene, and we're trying not to talk about it explicitly because we want you to see the
you
movie.
know,
But
I almost
your
feel
trigger
like
warning is there's a
yeah.
very credible implied threat of rape in this movie, and you need to know that before you go into this movie because not knowing that sucks. Anyway,
It also almost feels like it's also there just so that the other like the love interest character can have a chance to come in and fucking stop the bad guy
yeah,
from doing
the
the
white
very
knight
bad
moment.
thing. Yeah. It's like so you're putting this terrible thing in this movie just so that we can have a white knight. But we don't need what?
Yeah, it's like killing the dog for cheap
He
scare.
can
It's
come
kind of
down
pointless, you know.
and just find her tied up there and
In the
help
same
her.
way as the
And we
other
don't
girl.
have to see
Yeah,
or yeah.
there's
Yeah.
so many other ways they could have done it. That being said, like, it's a good movie, but yeah, trigger warnings are there. Now the second movie, I'm gonna spoil this fucking movie. I had to spoil this movie. They take the
Oh,
villain from the first movie and they try to make you feel fucking feelings for him. He's the main character. He's kind of like framed as a good guy in this movie, but he's like this horrible monster of a person,
We're subverting your expectations again.
but not in the right way. And this is the wrong way. This completely
And
fucking derails this movie.
how could we have foreseen that
People
happen?
complain. Here's the thing that bothers me. People complain about Rob Zombie films because they quote unquote humanize Michael Myers, which they don't. Then they see this movie. This movie's great. This actually humanizes the crazy serial killer from the beginning of the movie, from the first movie. This actually does the thing you hate, and you like this for some reason. I don't
It's
fucking get it. This is such he saves his girl from a fire, and then he protects her. And some people like I don't remember why they were trying to harm anybody, but like, holy fucking shit, what that fucking movie was just deplorable,
I will
repugnant. I call it
say,
repugnant.
and I have to say, there was that line at the end from him that I was like, that for me, for different fucking reasons that had nothing to do with any intentional thing that the filmmakers are trying to do. Uh, I personally like had a moment of like catharsis from hearing him say like what a terrible fucking person he is and that he's not redeemable and shit like that. And I was like, you get to this point in the movie and wait until this point in the movie to have him say that. Okay. And again, it's another like it's a little on the nose. And there but there was also like some visual storytelling in there that was kind of cathartic as well. And right at the end and I was like, you know, for what I got out of it because of my own fucked up experiences in life,
Yeah, we had a
I
discussion, a really deep discussion, personal
yeah,
discussion we don't want to go into, but like,
I enjoyed that one aspect of it, that like one scene at the end. But I'd never watched this movie again
I'll never watch
because
it
it's
again.
not enjoyable and
I'll watch the
we
first one again, even though it's got that
like they
scene.
never had to go as far as they did to make him out to be a fucking hero in this movie.
Yeah, he's
It's just
like if you wanted to make a blind Rambo movie, you could have just made a movie where Rambo was blind. I'm just saying, like, you could have just done that, and that would have been fucking cool as shit. All right.
yeah.
And also, it does that ableist trope where, like, oh, he's blind, so his other senses are enhanced to a superhuman level, which is just not how it works. Like, it's not how it works. It's not, you're not like somehow.
He's just old Daredevil.
He's just
Old
old
rapey
Daredevil rapist man,
Daredevil.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's old rapist Daredevil. Congrats. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Don't Breathe 2 was I
The
would just
first one's like a 7 out of 10, I
yes,
think.
and the second one for me is a 2 out of 10. Like a series 2 out of
I
10,
think I gave it like a 4 out of 10 or something like
which is
that.
still not a great score
Because of
either.
that one experience I had at the end, I was like,
Hey, if you found something out of it,
okay.
then that's fine. But like I just
And it
found it
really is like,
like I
I
can sit
wouldn't
here and
expect
admit that I've
anybody
been a shit
else
person
to
in the
ever
past.
have that experience, you know?
I can sit here and admit that I'm a shit person in the past, but I didn't have that epiphany with the movie, I just didn't it didn't resonate with me in any way because it was just kind of repugnant.
Yeah.
Don't Breathe 2, not so good. Don't Breathe 1, I recommend that one with the content warnings intact still. All right, moving on.
It's like, could you save this movie franchise?
Yes.
Sure. I don't think you should, though. I
Just let
think
it
just
die.
let it go. Yeah.
Yeah. Reboot it and get rid of all the rapey crap. Next, we
Yes.
watched Prophecy from 1979? 79, yes. By the way, we watched less movies this cycle of the podcast because my internet died in the middle of one movie, so we didn't get to watch like the two more movies we were gonna watch. And then we've also been watching a lot of Twin Peaks, so
Yeah.
we've been watching 2 episodes of Twin Peaks and slot of a movie. We will talk briefly about Twin Peaks when we actually finish it. I think at some point before we move on to the movie, before we move on to the return, because they're all different pieces. Prophecy, 1979. It's about this killer bear and this weird like deforestation company that is poisoning the water, and so the giant bear gets mutated and is murdering people. And there's also a subplot with environmental protesters, like trying to keep them from, destroying sacred, indigenous land, and then like, yeah, it's a lot of disparate pieces. There's a moment where someone gets killed in a sleeping bag that's like 10 times better than either one of the ones from Friday the 13th. And I like those ones in Friday the 13th. It's my favorite kill, but like this did it way better. Justin laughed so fucking hard at that moment. He just burst out into the biggest belly laugh I've heard from him in a long time. Yeah.
Like that movie, like just as you're about to start taking it a little bit seriously, something happens. It's like you can't help
It
yourself.
kills this kid in a sleeping bag, and it's shot in such a way that Justin lost his fucking shit. I mean, I was
It was
chuckling, but
fun.
he was.
It's Man Bear Pig the movie, okay?
I hate that you make that illusion.
But yeah, it's crazy. I remember seeing the fucking poster artwork for this movie all the time
Which
and
was the
saying,
original monsters design that they ended up not going with, by the way.
mm.
That's why it looks nothing like the one in the
And
movie.
never actually watched the movie until now. And I would not have guessed from that poster artwork what this movie was going to be about. There's no way
Yeah, right.
that you could get this from that. Like, there's just no.
So they had originally done this like inhuman, gross design. If you look at the Prophecy 1979 movie poster, if you Google image search that exact phrase, so you don't get the other Prophecy, you will see this weird creature in like an egg type womb type deal. That's what the original creature design was, and they changed it really late in the pre-production, after the poster had already been made and circulated and all that, before the movie came out. And so yeah, there's no actual artist depiction of the original or the actual bear in the movie, and there's no like cool movie with that monster from the fucking that got rejected, unfortunately. I was hoping that
And,
the artist would have used it in like another movie for a monster since it got rejected, but no, no such luck. It's just gone.
and I remember like one of the main characters who played like a Native American. I don't. It wasn't. He wasn't like a Native American, was he? He was like an
No, it's
Italian
Armand
guy, right?
Desante.
It's Armand Desante. That's right, Armand Desante. And I'm just sitting here like, I just, I can't reasonably see
It's
this person. I can't see Armand Desante as
it's not the only
Native.
red face
Like,
in this
just,
movie, to be clear.
yeah,
There's a bunch of red face in this
exactly. There's
in
a
this movie.
lot. Of,
There's a bunch of people
ugh.
like they literally tried to pass off people who were like had no business being in the background of these things
It
as
really, it
indigenous
really
people and
wasn't
like
until the '90s,
yeah.
and even then there was still a big problem with it. But like, it wasn't until the '90s that fucking film studios stopped doing the whole thing where they would get at most one actual Native American person to star in a film
And then fill the background with
about Native American
other
culture
people.
or Native Americans in general,
Yeah.
and fill the background with a
I
bunch of
mean
other
like you can
people.
name what four
Like,
indigenous
ugh.
American like actors, I think, right?
Will
Like
Sampson, yeah,
yeah, like Adam Beach,
yeah.
what's his name? Green, what's his first name? I can't remember.
Graham Greene. Graham
Yeah,
Greene.
like like you can name like the 4 or 5 ones because they just get cast and everything, and then they just
And that was happening in the '90s
yeah.
too, but
Oh
at
yeah, it
least
was.
then the background
I mean,
characters were more actual Native Americans
so
more often than not. Some of them were still fucking,
so
white characters and red face, but like,
there's definitely problematic content in Tropic Thunder, but Tropic Thunder is making fun of that trope with Robert Downey
yeah.
Jr. doing blackface, and
I
it's
don't know how I
everybody is.
feel about it,
I
but
don't know either. I'm just saying like they did have an intent that was not harmful. So whatever,
I will say
take what you will of that. I watched it eventually. I didn't even rewatch it. I haven't watched it in a little bit, but like I
I will
remember everyone in the
never.
movie going like, "You're not the like the whole joke is that he keeps acting like he's a person of color, and everyone's like, but you're not." Like so, it's like it's kind of the running gag at the same time. So it's weird. It's a weird. It's hurdle. It's standing in two worlds of like okay and not okay, and so it's like
One
it's
thing that will always
not
be
everybody's cup of
redeemable
tea.
from that movie is Les Grossman, the character Tom Cruise plays.
Yes,
Apparently,
the surprise character.
apparently
Yeah.
yeah, apparently they like got him in his costume and gave him a Diet Coke, and from there he was just less gross. Like,
I
the
believe it.
second he was given a Diet Coke, I'm like,
I
yep,
believe it.
that makes sense.
But anyway, yes, there's a lot of red face in Prophecy. It's 1979. It was a common practice. It wasn't okay then, but it did happen.
Mhm.
I'm also getting an audio bleed from you, sir. I'm hearing myself on your end.
Probably because you're really loud to be random. Okay.
Okay. Well, turn me down a little bit. Okay.
All
So,
right. Good to
uh,
go.
next
Should
we
be.
watched Kill, which is a Japanese samurai film from 1968. We watched it on Criterion Channel. It seems to be a black comedy about being a samurai, and it's very heavily influenced by spaghetti westerns. You can tell
Mhm.
by the very, very spaghetti western score, the way it's shot
Yeah.
in a lot of times, but it's also playing with a lot of
The
tropes.
title cards too, like
Yes.
really big and fucking scratched into the fucking film, looking like it's
Yep.
scratching the film title card and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
You know.
But this is a lot of fun. It's yeah. I would say it would be a movie I would say if you watched like a couple dozen samurai films at least to really get a lot of the gags. Justin here
Yeah.
was a little lost, I think, in some of the jokes because he's only seen them only a handful of samurai films. We're fixing that, but it's only been a handful.
Perhaps. But
There's a few times I laughed
I
and you
picked
just
up
sat
on
there
it
in
like
dead silence. So I think you
I
missed a
picked
few
up
jokes.
on the fact that it was a dark comedy, like fucking almost immediately though.
Yeah,
Like there were just certain elements like is I was like, wait, this is a comedy, isn't it? Because like
yeah, it is
there's
apparently a
so much
comedy.
comedic shit happening. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. So, it is. What is the plot again? One second. A pair of down on the luck swordsmen like arrive in this like rotten old like Wild West town. It basically feels like for a few dollars more, where he walks into town. There's like a whole bunch of rival things happening, but these bumbling pair of like this farmer and this disgraced samurai. And the farmer wants to be a samurai, and the former samurai wants to be a farmer. Like, it wants to be at peace, and it's
Hmm.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I gave this one a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it.
There's so much stuff going on in this movie. And I like that about it. It really did feel like part samurai movie, part
Hmm.
western, because even at the end, like they have guns coming into play at some point. It's like it
Which did
really feels
exist
like
then, but yeah,
yeah, but like
they're long rifles to be fair.
if I recall correctly, they were even using like the sound effects that were pretty common in the day
I think that was,
guns.
yeah, more modern
Yeah,
gunfire
in
noises.
westerns and stuff.
Yeah, I think that was.
Um, yeah, but yeah, I like the whole juxtaposition between the two characters and how one like uh finally quote unquote gets what they want and becomes a samurai or whatever, and then realizes I'm gonna give it away, I guess, but realizes so maybe I didn't want this,
Hmm.
and it's all like circular. They end up back at the same place talking to each other again,
Yeah,
and God, there was just certain elements of it that were talking more about like life and cultural things than it was about you know necessarily telling a samurai story, if you will,
exactly.
right?
It just used the samurai like set dressing to.
People finding out things about themselves through living is it's kind of the story in the movie.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good summation, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to talk about Scream 2022 while I go pee?
Okay.
All right.
So Scream, we watched it because it's on Paramount Plus now. If you didn't know, you can watch it now. It's on Paramount Plus. Scream 2022, which hilariously enough, Elise said, why didn't they just call it Scream 5 with 5 as the S, right? And they kind of make a joke about that in the movie. Not specifically Scream 5, but like about how that was a thing they were doing with the titles for a while because it's a very meta, self referential franchise that's uh, throughout all the sequels is basically talking about itself, and I would say that's one of my favorite things about this new movie is that it continues on with that. It doesn't try to break away from that, like what made the franchise what it is. It continues on with the concept of like this is a self-referential, extremely meta film series, and within the fucking franchise itself, within the film series, there there are movies that are supposed to essentially be the Scream movies, you know, and they basically just end up talking all kinds of shit about Scream within this movie called Scream. And I love that about it. I love that they stayed true to that aspect of the franchise. Um, David Arquette made a return. A bunch of people from the original franchise from the original film, in fact, made a return. I was honestly half expecting to see, I don't know why, it just felt like some weird random thing that would be impossible within the context of the film, but would definitely happen at some point for some reason. I was expecting to see, what's his face? Hold on. I will get this. He's one of the actors from the original movie. I just don't. Why am I forgetting his name now? Why am I forgetting his name now? No. I mean, they got the main three. They got Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette. But I guess because I don't remember his name now, but I was expecting to see some other actors from the original film in there just popping up. Matthew Lillard. Thank you. Why? Why did I fucking forget Matthew Lillard? He's one of my favorite actors. In general, my brain just forgot it because my brain fails me all the damn time. But yes, I was expecting in kind of the same way that like Billy Loomis shows up, you know, as like a vision, a memory, talking to somebody, like not really there, but like somebody's imagining he's there. Uh, I was expecting that kind of thing with Matthew Lillard's character. It's like, oh, okay. I guess they didn't get Matthew Lillard, but they totally should have. They totally should have. Um, but yeah, what I will say is that when the original movies came out, I was not really a fan. It wasn't until uh, much later when I went and rewatched the movies after the fact, when we watched them probably 5 to 10 years ago now. I have like the Blu-ray set with the first three on it, and then I got the fourth one separately. Um, it wasn't until then that I had like watched them all and kind of understood all the stuff that they were going for, because at the time that they came out, I didn't really know as much about horror films as I do now. So now, getting all the self-referential stuff and whatnot, I appreciated those kind of movies a lot more. Um, so because of that, I feel like I really like the this new Scream movie. I think one of my favorite parts is that at one point they eventually played Red Right Hand, and I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
"Oh, it's the song! It's
He
the
went. He
song!
was such an. He
It's the
went nerdy. He
song!"
went so nerdy for that. He was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "The movie, the song's so overused, which itself is a, a commentary, I guess." But
Yeah,
um,
I went over how it was stayed true to the meta, you know,
so
concept of the original.
interestingly, I actually did.
Movie.
I actually figured out the killers well before the end of the movie. But I don't think that's a problem with the movie. It's just more that I've just seen too many fucking movies. People would think, oh, I guessed the killer before the end. It was a bad movie. Just don't realize they've probably just seen too many movies. I guess that's okay. I guessed the killer from the end of most of these movies, to be fair. Um, there was that one
Well,
part
where it
with
gets really egregious for me is when a movie is like telegraphing exactly how it's going to end 5 minutes
yeah,
into
if
it.
it's
Like
bludgeoning you over the head too is the other thing. It was just like,
that's why I
do
didn't
you
like
get
28
it?
Weeks Later, because 28 Weeks Later, like the first fucking scene, they're basically telling you exactly how the fucking movie ends. Oh, but yeah, I digress.
I do like the scene where the one girl is yelling at the scene in which Randy is getting killed because the movie Screams is actually the movie Stab inside the universe.
Yes.
So she's watching Stab 1, and it's a scene from Scream 1 where Jamie Kennedy's telling you the rules of the killer and all that stuff. And then he's sitting on, then it cuts to like later in the movie and he's sitting on the couch and that's when the killer comes up behind him and stuff. And like she's like, "Oh, come on, you can't hear that?" And literally the same thing's happening. Like that's like a great fucking scene because it's so fucking meta.
Yep, on the nose. I really loved how they were, making all those references to the original films and whatnot.
Hi, kitty.
And yeah, very self-referential and in a loving homage kind of way. I like that. And what I was saying while you were gone is like I half expected them to bring back Matthew Lillard. I fucking forgot his name when I was trying to say that, but yes. Uh I have expected them to bring Matthew Lillard back because they brought back the Billy Loomis character at least as like somebody that someone else was envisioning seeing, you know. So they weren't actually there, but they were having visions of this person, and I thought, well, if they can do that for this character, surely they'll do that for Matthew Lillard. He's going to be in the movie too, right? I guess not. I like Matthew Lillard. He deserves more attention. He deserves more love. He's a good guy.
I love Matthew Lillard as an actor. I like. I really like to watch. I've been having this desire to watch Hackers all over again.
Oh God,
I love Hackers so much. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I hear it looks crispy in the dark.
Oh my god. um. So yeah, I really enjoyed Scream. It was. I mean, like as far as I've ever enjoyed the Scream movies, they've never been like my favorite. But like I didn't hate them. I think they're all good. The fourth one I think is my least favorite. No, my third one's my least favorite. I think.
Yeah, I think the third one is
This
one of
one,
those
this
kind of
one's like
weakest.
I think this is like the second best one in the franchise. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Because I recall there was something about it that you didn't like. I don't know what it was.
Well, but I don't like any of the Scream movies
Oh, I
super much.
remember now what it was. It was what happened to one of the main
Yes,
characters.
the one character that died,
Yeah,
I felt shouldn't have died the way he did.
yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's it. It was like it's a minor thing.
Understandable.
Like
Yeah.
be as vague as possible. When you build up a redemption arc for a character and then they don't get that redemption, it's I don't know. It's like getting someone hard.
Frustrating.
It's like getting someone hard and walking away. Like, well, sure, it's fun to tease somebody, but for you, the filmmaker, but you're making a movie, shouldn't you please the audience?
uh,
I mean,
I
if you're
don't
making
know.
a, I don't know. It's just hard to think. It's like that's where I say like that's why
It's like as the
that's
audience,
why
yes, I want them to please me, the audience, but
this is why
I don't know if they have to.
this is why Scream doesn't get more than a 6 out of 10. Any of the Screams, none of the Screams reach higher than 6 out of 10 for me. They're not bad movies. They're actually really good movies. They're just not movies for me. It's just not my kind of art. I like meta.
I give
I like
this one
meta
a
art,
7
but
out of
not.
10, I think.
I didn't think. I think it could have been better than Scream. Anyway, it's fine. The new movie's fine. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I think it's the second best of the franchise. Like that's all I can say. I mean, I'd watch them again too. Like it's like whatever. Like I end up having a girlfriend
They're
or partner or
unoffensive, more or
whoever
less. Yeah.
who wants to watch Scream because it's their favorite movie. Then I'll watch Scream because it's their favorite movie. Like there are worse movies get stuck watching on repeat. Next, like this Ninja Academy. from 1989, but directed by Nico Mastorakis, who I've seen did Island of Death, which is an absolutely reprehensible, repugnant film that has like no redeeming qualities, in my opinion. But people seem to like it. And then he did Hired to Kill, which is I think the peak of himbo action. It's Rambo, Commando, Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and Hired to Kill, and they're all in the same universe. I don't care what anyone says.
This movie was
Not that.
really not good. This was. Did we determine if it came after
5 years after
Academy?
Police Academy, yeah. It was
Yeah.
definitely a Police Academy
And it
faction.
was definitely like they were trying to do Police Academy, but with ninjas. And it
Yep.
was
Yep.
the sloppiest, most pathetic, cheapest fucking
I don't know if there was
adaptation of the
a
concept.
single joke
It
that made me
was-
laugh in the movie. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like watching a train wreck, but you honestly almost didn't want to watch it.
I didn't want to watch it. I was doing everything I could to not watch it,
Oh,
but it was kind of in my face, so I had to
there were
watch it.
so many fucking things in this movie. Like, spoiler alert: we also watched Police Academy after this. But like, so my reason for bringing that up is that there's a lot of fucking cringy, terrible shit that happens that people do or say in Police Academy
Oh
that
my
like
god, there's some
would
outright
never
racism.
pass today. It would just never fucking pass.
Mm-hmm.
But
And the F slur and
somehow that movie is still less offensive than Ninja Academy. Ninja Academy attempts to be even more offensive, and like for seemingly it's almost as if the guy who made the movie, the people who were making this movie, had no idea what made Police Academy even
Well,
remotely funny to some
I can
audience.
answer that for you. The man was not American. So it's like
Okay,
whenever you
so
take
he-
American
and then
comedy
kind of
and
cultural,
filter through
yeah.
somebody who's not from America, and then they try to replicate that, or it doesn't come out because they're not raised in this culture. That's not saying they
Not
can't make funny.
always,
Not
but
always, right?
yeah,
That's why That's why Samurai Cop is
it
the way it
does
is.
happen,
It's
yeah.
literally it's what got some guy thinks an action film should be from America, but it's just not good because it's weird, funky humor that doesn't quite congeal.
But what is it that makes that Nanar and like slightly enjoyable, and this Ninja Academy fucking a snooze fest of like offensive,
It's simple.
not
It's
funny comedy?
just different tastes. Some people are gonna find Ninja Academy hilarious. It could be an arc because it's badly made and every
Yeah.
facet. The only good character in the entire movie is the fucking mime. It's because they don't say anything till the end.
I think we could do like a fucking. I would not be surprised if there was a riff tracks of it. Let's put it that way, right? But,
I don't think there is, but there should be.
Yeah, because at least it would make it more enjoyable.
Hmm.
It's really like they're playing on every stupid trope possible, and the tropes that they play on, like they clearly don't understand why they are a trope, what makes it funny.
The only thing, they're one note comedy. What they think is funny is exaggerations of whatever it is. So if it's a trope, it's the exaggerated version of that. You know, it's James Bond, but he's wearing a suit everywhere, which is a funny idea in itself. That's like the one of the other redeeming jokes in the entire movie is that no matter what setting they're in, fucking James Bond ripoff is literally in a suit and tie. I think he's in a hot tub in one too. I mean, like, literally in every fucking scene. Sleeps in it.
And these people saw Michael Winslow in Police Academy and said, "We need a character like that. So let's get a mime."
The exact opposite of that, yeah.
What? What?
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
And the mime is, I'll be honest, that was probably the character I laughed at the most.
That's the best character in
that
the
I had
movie.
the most fun with. Yeah, because it's all visual gags, and the visual gags are played fairly well. It's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. Yeah,
The physical comedy is the one good thing about this movie, which is why it's a 4-star and not a 2-star movie. Or less.
yeah.
Then we watched Police Academy. The first, 40 minutes of Police Academy is a pretty solid little humor movie, comedy movie. It's got a little Yeah, it plays up the peeping tom.
Implications.
They have plays
Yeah.
up the peeping tom. There's some groping, some inappropriate things, obviously that shouldn't be funny, but they're trying to make into jokes. But there's actually some genuinely funny parts, especially once again the only funny character of the entire movie, Michael Winslow. I take it back, because Hightower, he's funny as fuck. That guy's
Oh yeah.
hilarious.
I love Hightower, and I love Tackleberry too. I don't
Huckleberry.
think there's anything really bad like that he says or
He's the
does in the
nerd,
movie.
right?
No, he's the annoying fucking wannabe Rambo guy. He's the himbo of the movie. You know?
Who's the guy with the fucking who says the racist slur, the J word?
Who's him? Who's
Who's
the
the guy who
guy?
says the J word?
He's one of those two people who was
That
like
racial slur.
he was, the two people that Lieutenant or Commandant. No, no,
We watched this over 2 weeks.
the
I don't
head
remember shit.
honcho guy. The head honcho
The
guy.
Commandant Lillard. No, the
Yeah,
other guy. The other guy. Yes.
he he pulls those two guys aside and gets them to be like his snitches, so to speak,
Okay.
right? And one of those two is the guy who uses the racial slur. It also just so happens to be the guy whose car gets quote unquote stolen and the seats ripped out and has the Union Jack on it. So they kind of fucking
He gets to come up and
telegraph that he is potentially racist
he gets to come up
because
and
it's
sue. To be fair,
got
but
the Union Jack on there. But
and then the problem for me is that our main character Mahoney uses the F slur in a
mhm.
really casual, really fucked up way, and I was just like, "Holy shit!" I was like, literally didn't expect it. It's out of the new blue. It's the only time it's ever used in the entire movie, I think.
Oh God, there was one other thing that happened that was kind of fucked up. I can't remember what it was. So, but there was something that happened that was like, well, let's just say there are a lot of irredeemable characters in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. What happened was Mahoney didn't just use the F slur. What he committed one of the biggest fucking
What do you do?
uh, homophobic jokes in the movie, which is that when somebody asked where the party was going to
Right.
be,
That whole scene was
he
fucked up.
he got them to send these people to
The
a
quote
gay
unquote
bar, and
quote
that
unquote
was
gay
the
bar.
joke.
No, the joke
The
was okay.
joke,
The gay bar, quote unquote. That was the prank. The joke being that they were all leather daddies. It was weird. Like it
yeah.
was such a narrow-minded understanding of gay people that it's like
Mhm.
offensive. Like it was really offensive, and that's yeah, that's those are three big strikes against this movie when it comes to like yikes content.
Yeah.
And it was still a four. By the way,
Ooh.
it was a 6 out of 10 until all this shit started happening in the last half of the movie, and it dropped down to Ninja Academy's 4 out of 10. Like it's the same rating as Ninja Academy, only because of the offensive, the kind of offensive content.
I give it a 5 out of 10 because I think it's still better than Ninja Academy, but that's about it.
Fair. Let me.
And I need to go back and watch the cartoon because I loved the cartoon as a
Oh, I
kid.
bet you the cartoon's uncomfortable now.
Probably not. It's made for kids, but
Probably went to
I'm
racial
sure it's
stereotypes though.
I. The worst thing I'm imagining would be in it is like a bunch of propaganda, and
Oh,
that's what
hundred
these
percent.
movies are is propaganda.
Well,
So
so yeah, I don't recommend Police Academy. I don't recommend Ninja Academy. Neither one of them was good. Next, we returned to actual quality movies, and we watched The White Buffalo. Probably
which
another film.
actually was quite high quality. I was surprised because, you know, I feel like at that stage in his career, Charles Bronson was not really doing a lot of great stuff. Although that
Mm-hmm.
was like the
That's just
beginning of like him taking almost any role he could get. You know? And well,
I think he was
the
actually a
beginning
huge
it was
star at
like
this point.
solo career, I guess you could say.
He's a
And it
pretty big
was
star at this point.
yes, what I'm saying though is like a star in movies that typically, at least somebody like me, would not really enjoy. So I was not expecting to like this movie, but I really actually did. There were elements of it that were like, okay, come on now. But it was actually really fucking fun and really good.
Mm-hmm.
an interesting story, a western,
It's Moby Dick, but with a white buffalo, and
and it's one of the few rare westerns where you get to see it in a snowy location.
and
You
it's
know,
and it's Wild Bill Hickok and Crazy Horse fighting this wild buffalo in the Colorado Rockies, Snowy Mountains.
yeah.
And the buffalo is fully animatronic. And me and Justin spent like probably 35 minutes trying to figure out if it's the same
It
buffalo
was
from.
like, oh,
No,
30.
no.
Okay, I
It was
was gonna
like
say,
35 minutes where me and Justin were looking to
yeah.
see if it was the same buffalo used in Radio
I
Flyer.
thought you were talking about something else, but yes.
30 minutes.
I thought you were talking about us arguing whether or not it was like stationary or moving, and we spent like 15 minutes at
We
most
did.
arguing about that. 15 minutes, still far too long, but
We talked about the various
um,
mechanics of shooting that scene and why they did what they did.
that buffalo did look a lot like the buffalo from Radio Flyer.
Because those both accurate buffaloes, I guess. God.
Yeah, they really did a good job with fake buffaloes at the time.
1977 for this movie. Radio Flyer's in the 90s. Um, just for the
Oh, I
audience
thought
to
it
know.
was like late 80s, but
No, 1993 or 2, something like that. 94,
oh, okay.
something around there. Well, no, so Wild Bill and Crazy Horse are fighting this animatronic buffalo. Like, it literally is Moby Dick with horns, and hooves. I think it's worth watching it. I really like it. I'm
Horny
glad I
Moby
own
Dick,
it.
yes. No. I think it's worth watching too. Another thing to note was like the glasses that Charles Bronson wears in
Oh,
this
yeah.
Wild Bill Hickok are like the same the design of glasses that were like, they inspired the glasses worn by
Quentin Tarantino said that
Django
the
and
glasses in
Django
this movie
Unchained.
inspired the glasses in Django
Yeah.
Unchained, so kind of cool.
Um, I just love the way the characters play with each other in this movie. Uh, that came out all wrong. I hope you don't take it the way that it
This
sounded.
movie got way more interesting. Keep talking.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that,
Was there
like,
oil? Were they naked?
when they're in the fucking no,
I know.
when they're in the cave together and like they're trading
This
things
is
and
not getting
whatnot,
better. You're making this worse.
and they're communing with one another by the fire. Just keep getting worse and worse.
Romantic music swells.
But no, there's like there's something about the way that they, that they work together that it feels more real. And the fucking writing is very snappy in this movie. The
Very good.
writing,
Yeah.
dialogue, it feels real. It feels like the way people actually maybe talked back then. It's almost like the way somebody wrote for a noir movie in the 40s, but they're writing for a Western movie.
Yeah, I mean, this could easily slide in with a lot of like spaghetti westerns in the world. Like it could easily be in like an expanded universe of these things. Like it feels like
It's definitely a revisionist Western.
100%
sure.
revisionist western, and it's I think in a lot of ways very much inspired by spaghetti westerns at the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of shots
Absolutely.
here, a lot of shots that call back to like Leone, specifically, who is of course the big guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, White Buffalo, 1977.
I give it like an 8 out of 10. I mean, this is a really
I give it
good
a 7
movie.
out of 10. But
You really should see this movie. It's actually really
it was an
good.
8 out of 10. But there's a small amount of yikes content in it. When there's a few slurs bandied about
Mm,
for people of color. But I know time
yeah.
period, all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's not a movie based on reality, so it didn't have to reflect reality.
It's like there's a discussion to be had about that because, uh, there are a lot of slurs and shit used in like the Hateful Eight and Django Unchained as well,
Oh,
right?
that's a whole bag of worms I'd rather not get into.
Of course, I'm just saying like that discussion is still ongoing
It
about
should continue
whether
to keep
it's
happening.
okay
Yeah.
or not. Yeah.
I am not a person to decide whether it's okay or not.
Yeah.
I am just a dumb white person.
My only point is like, that discussion about that it's not just something from back in the time, a product of its time thing. It's something that's still happening
Like,
today.
my thing is, if you're not trying to go for a realistic approach, something based on real life, or trying to reflect real life in some way, like a real strong drama, There's no reason to use slurs. None.
Yeah.
You're not doing a movie that's based on reality. They're fighting
If
a
there's
giant
any
buffalo.
element of ridiculousness, then you don't need it. You know.
There's like they're fighting a giant buffalo. It's not a regular buffalo. It's a giant buffalo. So there's zero reason for them to use any slurs in this because it's not a depiction of reality.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my line is if you are depicting a sort of reality like a drama about someone who suffers through all this shit or perseveres or some shit like that, right? Fine. If you're a weird western where they're fighting a giant animal, they don't need to use the slurs.
Yeah.
But that's why I went from an 8 to a 7. 4-star rock. Next up is Justin's favorite movie, The Third Man.
It's not my favorite movie, but I certainly like it.
Liar. I see the smoke coming from your pants. He never shuts up about this fucking movie.
I do too. I almost never talk about this movie. I don't know what you're talking
I know.
about. Third Man, though, Orson Welles, Carol Reed,
Joseph
directed
Cotton.
it. Joseph Cotton plays main character.
Who's like a western writer or whatever, and he's in like I want to say Vienna or something.
Oh yeah, he was in a lot of fucking a random note, but I was like, I think he was in a lot of westerns too.
No,
you said that, I was like, that does remind me. I think
his character's a western writer or something like that. I remember that they're talking about his books.
Yeah, he's a
and like he's going to like talk to a friend, and the friend ends up
not
dead.
an extremely accomplished writer either. Just like
pulp writer.
A pulp writer of some note, but not like significant.
So he goes to like meet and talk with a childhood friend, Harry Lime, who turns out had died several days before he showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And the third man is a reference to the third person they're trying to identify who was carrying Harry Lime's body out of his room.
Yes.
So that's the third man.
Yes.
And yeah.
Because they didn't quite see him. They only they saw and identified two of the people, but the third man, his back was to the one person who could see them. So,
correct.
Yeah.
So it's a noir, in case you're curious.
Yes, it is a noir. It's a whodunit. It's what's going on here. It's the writer in this case becomes like the detective who's trying to solve the crime.
Which is not uncommon for noir films.
It's shot very much like a noir film as well because
it's 1949. It's technically noir.
Yeah, because it is a noir film. I'm just saying,
it's a noir film about about the filmmaker or about the writers who inspired the noir.
Europe, for that matter, too.
Well, it's like it's also noir films are based on like cheap pulp novels, and it's a movie based off cheap pulp novels, inspired by cheap pulp novels about a guy who writes cheap pulp novels. So it's like noir in setting and noir in filmmaking.
And I feel like in that aspect, it's kind of referencing some of the authors who wrote the pulp novels that then inspired the noir movies that became so fucking big at the time. Because, there are a lot of the authors at that time who became big, important fucking screenwriters were just pulp authors who were not respected at all, like 10 years prior to the noir movement. So...
Oh my God, there's no way. Okay, it's a different Graham Greene. Okay. We're talking about Graham Greene, the indigenous actor, but there's also Graham Greene, the writer of this movie. Two different people. But wow, what a... I was like, wait, really? I was about to go, what? That would have been an amazing connection, by the way.
One thing that I think people would like give or take about this movie is there are a lot of shots with like canted angles, and it's
there is a lot of canted angles.
But did you need to do it like that? Now at the end, there's this sequence at the end that's completely unforgettable, and it's one of the best sequences, like one of the best chase scenes probably in cinematic history, definitely in the history of noir films, and like it went on to inspire a lot of fucking scenes and a lot of other movies as well. And there are a lot of canted angles in that scene as well, and I think it fits and it's proper in those scenes. Earlier in the film, it kind of shows. It's up to you.
So it's interesting is the what I noticed when I was looking back a little bit at it later on was when we are looking at Joseph Cotton's character, everything's even
Yes.
because we are the person that Joseph Cotton's talking to. When it's Joseph Cotton's perspective, everything's canted because he is off kilter. So it actually does serve a purpose of like
Mm,
storytelling. It's not. It is just an excessive angle.
yeah.
It could have been a little more subtle, I think. It was
It's not
less
like
than
in
subtle in the early parts of the movie.
yeah, it's not like in Battlefield Earth where it's
God,
literally every shot is
that's
a canted
there's no
angle.
reason for that. There's no reason
And
for that.
there's like no reason for
There
it except
literally,
the fucking filmmaker just thinks it looks
it
cool. It's
it
like
literally it makes you understand. Like when we think about it, it's literally like when we're looking at Cotton, everything's flat and not canted because
yeah,
the person they're talking to is calm and understands the world they're in. It's not off kilter. It's off balance by what's happening, right? And then when they're seeing anyone else, it's tilted because fucking Joseph Cotton's like basically emotionally reeling from the death of his friend, like the
yeah.
entire time. So I get, like it serves a purpose. It's excessive, so but it might bother you. So it's a heads up as a
Yeah.
filmmaking aspect that is not going to be for everybody.
But it's an
Uh,
excellent movie nonetheless. It's like
right.
I can't see anybody giving it less than an 8 out of 10. It's such a good movie.
I gave it 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Next is Noroi the Curse, one of my new favorite like found footage films. This is the one where
Oh
the
yeah.
TV documentary team or whatever are going to like research these urban myths that are all somehow linked, and one of those is the lady from the Killer Tape. And we were just talking about the Ring movies before we.
Sadako? The
Yeah,
lady from the Killer Tape, Sadako?
yes, or Kyako, I guess, depending on the movie franchise. But no, yeah, the killer from the Ring movies was kind of referenced in kind of the plot in a little bit in a small way. It's not a central part of the movie at all. It's just connecting all these various what I gather are probably Japanese horror films I have not seen potentially. They're probably famous enough. Uh,
Maybe.
and I think
It's
that's
also like just there are, there's mythology within Japanese culture that's
yeah.
at play here.
Yeah, that those movies are also
So
based. The movies are also based on. But yeah, so there's a little playing with reality with this one. Yeah, it's really well shot. Like it feels very much like a documentary TV crew, including some of the fumbling that would come with that in like a scary situation. What are your thoughts? I've been talking this whole time about Noroi, the
there
curse.
is there's just so much going on in this movie. There are certain moments that I really enjoy and found memorable, like that really remind me of other
Mm-hmm.
found footage films,
Mm-hmm.
like when they're out in the fucking woods, or they're at least like near the woods, right? And, you know, they have her in the fucking frame, and then right next to her, but behind her, there's like this shadowy figure. It's just like nobody sees it at the time, but you look at the footage and there it is. Creepy stuff like that. That's my favorite kind of thing in a found footage movie. But then there's also this guy who they're going to
Oh, that
trying
guy
to
was
figure out
obnoxious.
what's going
Holy
on.
fuck!
Yeah, the really obnoxious guy.
Really obnoxious guy. Oh my god.
Um, but like at that time in Japanese culture, well, I guess it was a little bit removed from the time period where that was a big thing. But there was a time when like they would th- there would be certain people within Japanese culture who would go to people who are just neurodivergent, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is a mystic or something,"
Oh yeah, yeah.
and they'd be like asking them advice about things like this, perhaps, and it's like this guy has issues that doesn't make them a fucking clairvoyant. It's like, come on. But and that's the way I genuinely felt about the way that he was characterized. Was like these people are like using him, and that's not cool. But
It,
so
it
it's like
it
these
definitely has something to say
these
about
people I'm
how
trying to be sympathetic towards, and
how
I don't feel like being sympathetic
it
towards.
does have something to say about how sometimes documentaries can be exploitative.
Yeah.
without, so, and then probably
I
not
would
even
even say
without even meaning
sometimes.
to. I imagine to some degree, right?
Say a lot of the time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, especially true crime can be very exploitative. Really
Yep.
honest with you. And as much as I'm fascinated by the the stuff, it is something to acknowledge that it basically traffics in like it's hard to say. It's like traffic is the wrong word, but
And I feel like,
it makes money off of um like women in peril. So it's kind of
mhm.
like it's hard to express, but it's like the idea that they're women in peril, and the whole point it's exciting is because it's a woman in peril. Like, I don't know. That's how what a lot most of true crime is. It feels like it changes. You got like Wild Wild Country and Tiger King and a bunch of other ones, but like
Well,
a lot
that's,
of it
I mean,
is like
I hate to say it, but that's
right.
because it feels more true and real to do that because
Mm-hmm.
sadly, women tend to be the victims
The
in a lot
majority,
of fucking
a
crimes.
lot of times, yes.
So, so it's like it's believable then, but then it all like it's important to understand that also feeds directly back into the
Yep.
whole fucking
Yep.
the idea that women
Even if
are
you present it
there to
awfully,
be
someone will
victims.
idolize it.
Yeah, that's the fucked up thing about it.
But it's something we just have to acknowledge as viewers.
It's
You
just
know.
like, yeah, it's not necessarily intentional for it to be taken that way, but no matter what you do, somebody's going to take it that way.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks, but that's media for you. That's the way media works.
Also,
Like, you
some
cannot get involved with media without potentially sending the wrong message to somebody, unless you don't want to say or talk about anything controversial, which is
there's
fine.
also like there's
But
also something you said about it. Like, oh, I lost my thought. Shit. Anyway, it
mm,
doesn't matter. Noroi the Curse is really good. We were
yeah,
sidetracked. It doesn't matter.
we were.
Um, that's where Noroi the Curse is doing this commentary on that end of the perspective of filmmakers going too far because they're trying to capture something, right? They're trying to
Yeah.
get something authentic or whatever their excuse is, but they go too far and they exploit. I think that's an
And
interesting
there have been
take.
other found footage movies that have done that, but not that many, quite frankly.
Hmm.
So it is nice to see. I do like to see when the people who are making the found footage movie are just like, no, we got to get this shot because it'll look really cool, and then they get their comeuppance for it. It's like, good, good.
Hmm.
Like, that's what you get for being more obsessed with like getting the shot you want or the money shot, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing
And
is
making the
there's
money
something to be
than
about
you are
there's
with.
something to be said about um, the grossness of exploiting human suffering for profit.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know.
I would say that's a problem that most documentary, anything that has anything revolving around documentary footage,
Can often have,
that
yeah.
has, yeah, has to do with it. Yeah.
Like, I mean, this whole conversation, like pretty much centers around the movie The Bridge from 2006, where this guy filmed a bunch of people committing suicide off the Golden Gate Bridge, and he talks about
Mm.
those things, and talks to the people who survived their attempts, and all. But it feels kind of exploitative, you know, and not in a
Yes.
good way, in a gross way. So,
Yeah. Understandable.
and they don't ever like try to stop anybody, but they just sit there and film.
Well,
I'm just saying.
okay, but no, but what I'm saying is, are all the fucking pieces of footage of people doing that in the film shot by the person who made the documentary, or are they filmed by somebody else and he got that film
I think
from
they're filmed by the
them?
guy who did the documentary, which is why the discussion is centered around that topic, which is why
If
I
they
mentioned
were,
it.
then that's fucking abhorrent.
Hmm.
Jesus Christ.
But if you look at Look of Silence or The Act of Killing, those two movies, I don't feel like either of those are exploiting human suffering in the same way. It's literally just trying to give victims of these people voices through the people who victimize them in a way. which itself is a complex and perhaps problematic thing to do, but that's a whole other discussion.
Possibly, yeah. It's just important to note that whenever you're seeing anything that's related to documentary footage, that especially if there's like some powerfully evocative emotional music in the background, or
The way it's
somebody's
edited.
using a really like deep or affecting voice of some type, or it's edited in a certain way, yes, um, that you're being manipulated by this media, and the person who is manipulating you with this media has a reason for doing so. And that reason may be disgusting,
It may be
or
good. Yeah.
it may be good.
It might
Yeah.
be trying to help you humanize someone who was a victim, which is a
Yeah.
good way to use it. But, like, yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, people were like, oh, it's a documentary, so it must be fact. But no, you were still subject to the filmmaker's perspective. No matter how middle ground they try to be, there is unintended bias.
Mm-hmm.
And as filmmakers, and it goes for any kind of filmmaking. There's an unintended bias, whether you mean to or not. And we need to recognize that as filmmakers. But anyway, yes, I like Noroi the Curse. Another found footage film we watched, god damn it, was Badder Ben, the third in the Bad Ben franchise. That's right, I got us back on Bad Ben.
And I'm so glad you did, quite frankly, because this fucking franchise is hilarious.
Still man Little
Specifically
Robes are right.
the ones with the main character, because
Nigel.
there's some
Sorry.
yeah, there's something about Nigel
He's
Bach, right?
He's playing Tom Riley, but yeah, Nigel Bach's the director.
There's something about him, and just the idea of a fucking entire franchise where this old white guy, not that old, mind you, I don't want to
Middle-aged white guy. He's middle-aged.
Middle-aged white guy. I am a middle-aged
I'm
white
a middle-aged
guy,
white woman, but yes.
Yes.
Same
yeah.
thing.
So there's something about a middle-aged white person in general who is just like fighting a ghost or some kind of
the mischievous toddler ghost, by the way,
or a demon or a spirit of some type, or I guess in this case the Jersey fucking devil. Like he's fighting these beings off, and just by being angry at them for existing.
He treats it like a petulant child instead of a dangerous ghost or whatever.
Just getting really angry about what's happening. He doesn't get scared, so to speak.
Walks around the house and
really
goes, God damn it, knock it off! I'm tired of this shit! Are you shitting me? Are you fucking shitting me? That's him. That's what he's doing the entire fucking movie. It's good shit.
That is my favorite part about these movies. It's just, I can't help myself but laugh my ass off every single time. For all these movies. Now,
so the first movie was just him by himself.
Good movies? No.
Far from it.
It's Nanar, the highest
beautiful
art of Nanar.
Now, the first movie I gave 4 out of 10 stars. It's just Nigel Bach.
Yeah.
And he's just doing his deal. And then second movie, Stealing on Velvet Road, had like this other couple, which is the prequel to the first movie. Yeah. And this is the first time, and then now we're watching Badder Ben, which is the third film in the franchise. And Tom, aka Nigel Bach, has disavowed himself of the house and left. But the paranormal investigators drag him back in. That's pretty much that's the entire plot. And then they just wander around the house going, God damn it!
I especially love that we're at the third movie in the franchise at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got like an official distributor for this fucking shit now. Breaking Glass Pictures, which is not like they do, you know.
They're nothing like crazy, but yeah, they're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a distributor.
And you're just thinking, okay, so how do you get to the third movie in the franchise if it's not doing well for you? It must be doing well, but for some reason, you still haven't decided to get like actual seasoned actors to play these roles.
He understands the charm by not getting seasoned actors. He understands.
Could be. Yeah.
I think because like he did that movie and it was like a huge internet sensation, and he made a lot of money off that first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I think that's that right there. He understands like, okay, They want people who aren't good at what they're doing, but you don't want to make it purposely
Yeah,
bad. You just make it people who really want to try, but you know they're not good actors, and you cast
yeah,
them anyway. They're not
and
bad actors, by the way. They're just very
yeah,
inexperienced
they
actors.
just some of them don't really perform their lines perfectly all the time, but
Well,
it's like whatever. And there's this one fucking moment where Elise walked away, I think, during this scene because she had to go to the bathroom or
yep.
something. But the guy got real. One of the guys in the film got really up close to the camera,
Uh-huh.
and it was
With
clearly
the
a
Blair Witch
reference to
Man, that's
fucking
right.
Blair Witch. Yeah,
He sat down to
there
do
was
like a
there was no
fucking. He went
there
sat
was
down
no
to
snot bubble or anything,
he sat
but
down to do like a real wild world style confession to the camera type deal.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's a Blair Witch scene. I'm gonna go pee, and I got up and peed.
But
I
it
come
was
back to him
it was the
laughing his
most
ass off.
hilarious scene in the fucking movie because this whole time they've been calling this guy Schmitty, and he's like, "My name's not even Schmitty. My name's something else or
Oh
something
my
like
god.
that." And he just the tirade he goes off on is fucking incredible. It's just amazing. I love it. It's hilarious. This is a comedy. Watch it as a comedy, and you will have fun with this movie.
Yeah, don't take it seriously. It is definitely a piece in an R. Like, I can't wait to watch the fourth one now. What a dumb
Me
series.
either. I love it. Are most of them on Tubi now?
All of them are on Tubi right now. Yeah,
Okay. Tubi's pretty good, minus
we
the
watched a
ads.
lot of movies on Tubi this last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
We watched
it was
Ninja
very
Academy and White Buffalo and Badder Ben, I mean, and Drive. But
the
we're
really nice thing about Tubi, like the ads, and not all of them are intrusive. What I thought was really interesting about Bad or Ben here was that the ads are like perfectly timed for this one.
he probably laid out his ad breaks. You
Yeah,
know,
it's very well timed. But
at times I would actually definitely have
also,
put a ad break too.
most of the time, there's no more than like 2 minutes of ads. If you watch any other ad-based service, it can be up to like 5 minutes of ads or more
Mm-hmm.
um, when they have
Thanks,
an ad
14
break.
ads Twitch.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Um, and on top of that, like just like the Tubi service itself, like the video itself is always like the player functions perfectly, and it has better fucking subtitle options than some of the paid services out there. So like it's not bad. I'm just taking this one moment to say Tubi is actually not that bad.
I like Tubi.
Yeah.
So, next up was Conspiracy. I'm gonna skip the next movie so we can put the two movies together.
Okay.
Conspiracy, which is, this got recommended to me as someone's favorite movie. So I'm gonna say this
Interesting.
wasn't my favorite movie.
Oh, it wasn't my favorite either. I didn't think it was bad, but
It's about these people who discover the secret society who worships Mithra, and Mithras is like this character, this pre-Christian savior character that it just so happens that lots of things of Christianity kind of mimic it in some way. It's almost like it's not an original religion. Oops, I'm sorry, plagiarism religion. I'm being a jackass. But anyway, they talk about Mithras and the bull and like all this other stuff, and like these characters have like they do this. They talk to the professor. They talk to people who supposedly work these functions, and then I was not prepared for the last 30 minutes where they went undercover with undercover cameras.
right?
The two filmmakers got dressed up and went as as new recruits for
Uh,
the company in the movie. I don't want to spoil anything, but
it's a classic found footage trope of like, we gotta do this. We gotta do this to get the shot.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know.
And of course, things don't turn out what you think they are. It's alright. Not my favorite found footage film.
Yeah.
Not the worst one I've seen either. Better than Bad or
It's
Ben when it comes to filmmaking quality.
well, yeah. It's okay. There's nothing terrible about it. I think Oh, you give it a 6 out of 10 or something like that. Sorry.
6 out of 10. Yeah, I give it 6 out of 10. That's pretty
It's
much
just
it.
like it's a little dull. There are elements of it where they're like, you know, they're taking advantage of or basically not saying the positive things about quote unquote conspiracy theorists, And there is one moment where they have a shot that looks exactly like the shot from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh
I
yeah,
can't remember which came first, but like, the one where he's got the fucking all the strings tied together and just like,
I think this came after. To be fair, I think it's just a coincidence.
I think it is just a coincidence, but it looked like exactly the same.
Ah, I just yeah, I was expecting a little bit more from this. That's my fault, but I thought because someone talked it up to me like 5 or 7 years ago, something like that.
I think the reason it didn't really work too well for me is that like they were presenting this as a wild-eyed conspiracy theory, and I'm like,
They
are
definitely
you
dropped the
kidding me?
Rothschilds and all those that whole
Oh
thing that
yeah.
warning that oh shit this is anti-Semitic warning. They talk to
Oh
someone who's
yeah.
particularly crazy and they talk about how that's not where they're going with this. That's a different like thing. They do mention that most conspiracy theories boil down to anti-Semitism against Jewish people. That's literally what it boils down to a lot of
Yes.
the time.
It's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Sorry,
But yeah, the I don't know. I lost it.
filmmakers talking about conspiracies.
Yeah. It was definitely something about fucking conspiracy theories and oh yeah, I was going to say
Mm-hmm.
that this is supposed to be a fucking like a wild, crazy conspiracy theory, and I'm thinking to myself, I've heard even wilder, more ridiculous conspiracy theories in the last week than this movie puts
Yes,
forward.
the other thing is like
Like,
that what they're supposing is basically like this already exists. It's called The Family, right? Like I saw that
right?
documentary already.
We watched a documentary about the actual real fucking thing that this is supposed to be about.
Yeah, they mentioned Bohemian Grove too at one point.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like, okay. Anyway, those little things I liked about the conspiracy. Um, and just
It's
yeah,
funny because like
it wasn't
just last night,
wild. It wasn't very unbelievable. It was pretty believable actually.
yeah,
You know,
just last night though, like I
not in a
was
scary way. I'm
listening
like, yeah,
to I was watching a Twitch streamer, and they were watching a group of people in Australia that are not so lovingly referred to as cookers.
mm,
I think the idea being they get cooked in the sun or whatever,
oh,
but
that's
like
probably like offensive too.
probably, but like they were like listening to them and like critically analyzing what they were saying, these conspiracy theories they were talking about, right? And the the shit they spouted off about fucking like the flat earth, and one of
Hmm.
them started talking about how they got a computer virus, and the computer virus was actually a fucking octopus, and the octopus was using some kind of mind meld on them or something like that. And I'm
Amazing.
just like, what the fuck? What is happening here?
That's the best fucking thing I've heard all day. So wait, is that a computer virus that was controlling their mind?
And the computer virus was itself like an actual literal
Wow,
octopus.
that's like a fucking horror movie waiting to be written right there. That's some body horror shit right there.
Oh my god, it's just like, what is going on here? Why? Why is this the first thing you jump to?
Flat Earth.
They referred to like a thunderstorm as like a personal assault on them or something like that. And I'm like,
The flat earthers are the ones
okay,
I really don't understand. I'm like,
yeah,
but none of the other planets are flat.
yeah.
I mean, like
They
the moon's not flat either. Like, what the fuck? Like, and suddenly the Earth's gonna be flat. It just makes no sense. Anyway,
just to be clear, yeah,
we're in
the
the
flat
weeds here. We
earthers.
gotta go back to our
We are in
movies.
the weeds, but hold on, I want to say this one last thing about flat earthers, right?
Go ahead.
They literally do not even believe that space is real, that outer space, that it
Oh yeah, I
exists.
know.
And so I'm like, okay, so there's a flat Earth that just so happens to be what floating in something that doesn't exist apparently in space,
But we can go to
and
it with rocket
you could
ships, though.
technically fall off the end of the Earth, but you wouldn't fall off into anything because the thing that you would supposedly fall off into doesn't exist. Like
Where do
that's
you
the level of fucking
where do you go then?
what?
What happens?
Yeah. What happens exactly? I don't know what the fuck they're
Wait,
talking about.
is the upside down better? Do I go to the upside down then?
Maybe.
Fall off the end and just whoop suck into the bottom?
Clearly, that's what Stranger Things is really about.
They were trying to tell us something. They were trying to tell us. They were trying to. It's subtext. It's all in the subtext.
Yep. Yep.
All right, next up, we'll get into some serious stuff. We watched A Quiet Place. This was my first time seeing this movie. John
A
Krasinski
Quiet Place.
directed this film, 2018. In case anyone needs a date for that one, because I think there's another movie called A Quiet Place.
I really enjoyed this movie.
Like most of the time, when a movie does a jump scare, I can see it coming from a mile away.
Because you're so used to it, you know.
This movie did
You've seen
such
a
a good
million horror
job
movies.
of the jump scares, and I'm not huge in jump scares, because most times jump scares are done badly. Half the time, in bigger films, jump scares don't even affect the character in the movie, and then what's the point? You're just scaring the audience? That's... Anyway, whole other discussion, but there were 5 jump scares in this movie. Just 5. And every single one of them got me. Big. I yelled. Every time. It's a very good movie. And not just because it's jump scares, just because it's very well paced. It's very well acted. And I absolutely love that everyone was using American Sign Language.
Yeah, well, that's another thing to note about it. Like there's a character in this film who is deaf,
Hmm.
and unlike the character in Don't Breathe, it's actually played pretty damn well. Like it's respectfully done. It's not like
Yeah.
she
She's
gets
not...
superhuman powers.
She has no superhuman powers. In fact, it's shown as a detriment. Because it is, can't hear something that might be coming after you. You know? You can't hear. It
No,
is a detriment in this world because you can't hear yourself stepping on
yeah,
a creaking piece of wood or snapping a twig. Because the creatures in this movie are
yeah,
super sensitive hearing. Where, like, you drop something off your desk and from a mile away when these fuckers are going to come. You know what I mean? One
yeah.
gunshot makes a bunch of them come. That's the idea. Um. But yeah.
I
Wow.
love the creature design in these movies too. It's just like,
It's
you
weird.
know,
But
it
in a
is
good way.
very weird, but it's yeah, exactly. It's like they have their it's like their head is just one giant fucking ear, you know.
It's like a bunch of... Yeah, basically. Well,
That's hidden behind like
it
a
looks like it's like... These plates lift up and it's like one big inner ear right on the
yeah.
outside of their body. But yeah, and the cochlear implant that the girl uses is actually a plant and payoff for a thing in the movie,
Hmm.
which is really cool.
Her father's trying to fix it and has been trying to fix uh, get one to work for her for I guess over a year at the by the end of the movie.
Yeah, in the
And
second movie, I
they
think they
show
show it
like
breaking.
several attempts that he made to fix
I think she
to
broke out in
try
day
to
one
fix
or
one.
something. And then in that scene that we saw.
I think so, yeah. But you know, it's funny because there's that moment where she keeps telling him in American Sign Language, "It won't work. Stop," you know,
Hmm.
and it's just like, well, it won't work the way you think it will. I love the planet payoff with that though,
I do too.
and that it becomes like an important part of the story.
Like, I
Yeah,
really, genuinely loved this movie. It was so good. I gave it 8 out of 10. It's so
yeah.
intense. I don't want to spoil a damn thing about it. Just, oh,
It almost had the feel of like a uh, M. Night Shyamalan movie, but not as cheesy, I guess I would say, you know. I don't even want to say cheesy, but like, you know, there's the what a twist element of M. Night Shyamalan. And sure there were a few twists and turns in this movie, but it wasn't like all about getting to those twists and turns, you know, which is something you typically do see in with M. Night Shyamalan. This is like again, to me, I think it's M. Night Shyamalan, eat your heart out kind of stuff. You know,
I mean, yeah,
it's
it's not the level. It's not like M Night Shyamalan. Like here's the reveal at the end type deal. Here's a
yeah,
twist. There's no twist. It's just very well, very good filmmaking. You don't see in a lot of people. Like
yeah,
Edgar Wright, Sam Raimi, Peter Jackson, Guillermo del Toro. I may have just listed all like a very small group of people who like. And Krasinski immediately shows that he has the understanding
yeah,
of that suspense language. Uh, I did want to say that people complained about the kids doing quote unquote stupid things in this movie and how it was unrealistic. But of course, those people were talking about that back in 2018. They didn't have to, there were still 2 more years before the pandemic hit, and they realized, oh no, people make stupid decisions all the time for no fucking reason at all.
yep.
I hate that
That's
complaint,
not
by the way.
realistic.
Yeah, fuck
Well,
off. Right? I hate that. It's such a cop
with
out.
time, we have seen that there are people who will literally profess that they would rather die than to be intelligent. You know, so
They
it's like
Oh, my favorite part is when they call you. Look, not to get again
to do the
political, but
intelligent thing.
they'll say like, "Oh, that's some woke bullshit." But like, when you call someone woke, you're saying, "Hey, you're awake. You're awake to things. I'm not. Ha ha. You're awake. I'm asleep. Ha ha ha." That's what they're saying. You're woke. I'm not. That's what they're saying.
Yeah,
I'm like, so you're just telling yourself.
yeah. You're proud to be ignorant. Good job.
Which round of
Proud
applause, I guess.
ignorance.
It's one of those things that always bothered me. Is the wokeness. Like wokeness. Like, do you know what you're trying to say? You're trying to say that
Yeah.
you're sleepwalking through your life? That you're willing to just be a fucking mindless automaton for the capitalist fucking machine? Fuck's sakes. Baffling. Like,
Mhm.
it's like when you tell someone they're being ignorant and they like puff up their chest and like, yeah! Like, what are you doing? It's not a puff up your chest moment. It's like,
It's like proudly holding up the test you just flunked. That's right. You're damn right. I flunked this test.
right?
Everybody, look at my flunked test. Fuck yeah! I'm gonna fail.
It's just edgelord shit. And it's just like, who are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove? I don't get it. Anyway,
Yeah.
back off the political nonsense. Quiet Place 2 starts with day 1, and we see that where the creatures come from, and only briefly, and I think the idea is in the third one we're gonna find out more. The third one is happening. I don't know if Krasinski's directing. If he's not directing, I don't have the same amount of hope for the movie.
Well, understandable. Yeah.
But wow, I
It's
really
so
like this one.
uplifting.
Once again, though, if kids doing things that you don't think are smart for kids, you probably don't want to watch this movie. Lots of those quote unquote stupid kid decisions. Man, those
Mhm.
people were so no fun. Anyway, they did a really good job of telegraphing a moment where someone gets locked inside something. They not telegraphing. They plant and pay off very well. This locking thing and the fact that there's no air in the thing they're hiding in, and like there's a lot of really good.
Yeah.
The thing I like about these two movies is show don't tell.
Yes.
It doesn't treat the audience like idiots for a single
Mhm.
second.
It's very well shot in that way too.
If you see
Yeah.
a burning canister, this didn't happen in the movie, but like if you see a burning canister on the ground, spewing liquid that is flammable, and there's fire nearby, and like, do you really need a character to say, "Oh my God, it's gonna explode"? I don't think you do. I think he just fucking told you it's gonna explode.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's what this movie is like. It's like it doesn't hold your hand; it just shows you. And the fact that most of the movie is seen or heard through the eyes of a deaf person or mostly deaf person, right? Like I can say, there's a deaf person, but like there's like very muffled hearing, and like it really solidifies the show don't tell aspect.
Yes.
And that's what I absolutely love about these movies is they don't fucking beat you over the head. It's not elevated horror either nonsense. Just horror movies. Just horror movies. Just good filmmaking.
Yep. Very good. That fucking phrase, elevated horror.
I know, right? It just sticks in the craw, right?
It's just like you're trying to sound self-important and like smarter about this
And you're
shit
putting
than you.
down the titans of the
You might actually
genre.
be pretty intelligent about horror films, but like you don't have to fucking prove it by saying shit like elevated horror. The way you prove it is by actually talking about horror films and showing that you know what's going on in them. Like that's all you have to do.
See, everyone's
You
like,
don't have to use special fucking terms.
elevated
Elevated
horror is
horror.
like saying, hey, it's an elevated comedy. Oh, hey, it's an elevated drama because regular horror or regular drama or regular comedy can't have meaning or something, right? Like, it is definitely like blowhard nonsense. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's a turn of phrase I hate. I hate it.
It's
Hate it. Hate
like
it. Hate it. Hate it.
it's like if we were to have said during our segment on the third man, yeah, it's elevated noir.
It's more than just cheesy entertainment. That's all
Well,
movies. They're either entertainment and mindless and fun, supposedly, or they're trying to tell you something or say something about our culture,
yeah.
right?
Like you
So,
don't have to say that. You can just talk about the actual movie and explain what makes it more significant than your average film. You know?
yeah, why is it
Like
more interesting than, say, Friday the 13th point part 6 or something? Well,
we do live
because
in a Twitter world now, and
huh,
people want to fit everything into 140 characters
you
or
can have
less. So.
threads. There's no excuse. We got full threads.
Exactly. We have threads now. And there's this thing called Twit Longer
I
too. If you really want to go off
I
about
regularly
something.
post 900-word threads on Twitter, I mean. Regularly. Like, at least once every other week or so. I'm writing stories, and when I write it, I put them out on. I put at least most of it, if not all of it, on Twitter. You know, just because that's where I write. I just write in bed,
Mhm.
and it's easier to just put it on Twitter and then copy and paste it and edit, add things, whatever I'm gonna do. But yeah, like, there's no excuse. Reductive reviewing still does nothing useful. Anyway,
Right.
Quiet Place 2 is it's like what happens when you go off the sand path that's laid out by these people.
Mhm.
And they go to places and they deal with more than just the monsters of the first movie, and it's interesting.
It is.
Uh,
Yeah.
it does
It
subvert
goes
your
kind of more
expectations.
into Walking Dead territory in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like showing
Mm-hmm.
how in a post-apocalyptic setting, so to speak, that there are going to be some people who know how to handle their shit, and there are going to be other people who you shouldn't trust at all. You know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Um,
Oh yeah.
I would say I agree that this does have like a Walking Dead vibe
Yeah.
for whatever reason,
I don't
but
think that makes it a bad movie or
not at
anything.
all. I thought it was
You know.
great. I think it was 8 out of 10. Also, like,
I feel like that's kind of an area you have to go in and make decisions about one way or another when you're talking about a post-apocalyptic scenario. The world has quote unquote ended, and okay, so it's an alien invasion story this time, but still, the world is more or less not what it was anymore, and a lot of people are dead. It is essentially a post-apocalyptic story, so you have to see at some point how the remaining survivors are
see,
living.
for me, it's
You
like
have to broach that subject at some point if you're making a fucking franchise about that, you
the
know?
the thing about this is it uses the urban decay is the apocalypse aesthetic that is very common in the post 2000s, and
Yeah.
I long for our 80s sandpit, dune buggy, leather daddy villain era of post apocalyptic films. I need
You
wacky
long for
cars.
Mad Max.
Uh huh. Where's my
When
fucking
are we getting
Furiosa
our
movie?
film adaptation of the Wacky Racers?
Wacky races? That'd be great.
Yeah.
Was that
The
Wacky
the
Raceland
the
comic?
comic book that came
Wacky
out, yeah,
Raceland, yeah.
Raceland. Yeah. Wacky Raceland. We need a film adaptation of that comic. Yeah.
You call it Wacky Races though.
Sure, yeah, that'll work. I mean, Scoob was trying to make a. We still need to watch that, by the way. But yeah, Scoob was trying to make
We need to,
uh,
yeah.
a Hanna Barbera universe in film,
I'm
and I
aware,
was
yeah.
totally down with that. But I don't know if it's actually going to happen now because I don't think the movie did too well.
Mm-mm.
It's just like
Really bad
it's a
bomb.
shame. It's a shame because I felt like they did a really good job with
People
it. But
crapped so hard on that movie, which sucks because I think it actually doesn't look that bad.
yeah, I think you're going to like it. I don't know if you're going to love it, but I think you'll like it.
All right, so last movie.
I thought we did the last two
Nope.
movies.
Steve Wang's Drive from 1997
Oh yeah.
with Mark Dacascos
Oh my God.
and Brittany
Oh my.
Murphy. And Rush Hour was every single bit of its fucking existence of this movie.
Yes. Yes. We
This
kept
is
talking about throughout the movie, like, oh, that's from Rush Hour. That's also from Rush Hour.
Rush Hour 2. Yep.
This is just Rush Hour.
But better.
It was kind of better, yeah.
Like the
No,
fights were actually
not,
like,
not to say anything bad about Jackie Chan, right?
oh,
I
this is,
think
but it's post,
I
it's
love
Hollywood
seeing
Jackie
Jackie
Chan.
Chan in pretty much
I
anything.
am the
But
biggest
yeah,
Jackie Chan fan, but his Hollywood movies are not good. They're not bad. They're just not good. They're like, it's like taking. Okay, imagine you have Ryan Reynolds, and he's a good talker, and then like halfway through the movie you take his voice away. I mean, they did do that, but that's the same concept. That's basically what it's like. You took Jackie Chan, who's an incredible martial artist, amazing choreographer, can come with some cool stuff, and then you just went with your standard, typical American nonsense action films sequences, and it's just like, and they're trying to do scenes from Jackie Chan films, but they're not doing them well.
yeah,
It's like a pale
they're
imitation
doing
of
them
Jackie
like
Chan.
safely, you know. That's the way it feels to me when I'm watching those movies. Is like it feels like Jackie Chan, but safe, you know.
Watered down. Anyway, Drive is none of those things. Drive is
Being
awesome.
held back in some way. Yeah.
The Steve Wang directed Kung Fu Rascals, which we still have to watch, and Guyver Dark Hero. And he is a very good director. I don't know why he stopped making movies. He deserves to be making movies. If I had an action series right now, I'd call Steve Wang. Hey, buddy, you want to come direct an episode of my fucking show? You know, because this guy can fucking direct action. This is great. It's Mark Dacascos. This is Chinese hired hitman, and who's like been like cybernetically enhanced or whatever. And then this guy, it's Kadeem Hardison, whose name I'm not familiar offhand, but he's a random guy who just gets wrapped up in this whole situation. But he's basically Chris Tucker, or what Chris Tucker was. Chris Tucker is the exaggerated version of him, I should say.
Yes, exactly.
The other way around, but yeah.
And I felt like he did a pretty damn good job in this movie. They both did.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun movie, is what I would say. But I don't think it's.
Oh my god, he's in The Sixth Man. Sorry.
I don't think it's the best fucking movie ever, mind you.
No,
But
I
it's
give it 10
really
out of 10
fun.
though.
Well, yeah, because you love movies like this.
It was just a lot of
And I
fun.
don't hate movies like this, but I do think for me it's like a 7 out of 10. You know?
Like,
It's like,
I didn't see any major flaws in the filmmaking, right?
yeah. It's
I
just
thought
it's one
the
of my
comedy hit.
favorite kinds of
The
movies.
comedy hit, right? I'm just explaining my 10 out of 10. The
Mhm.
choreography being standard, like Hong Kong style
It was
choreography,
really good. Oh,
that
it
gives
was
you an
really
automatic 1 full star.
good. Mhm.
The American films just generally don't shoot action films like that, action
Yeah.
scenes like that. And it breaks my fucking heart.
I was continually impressed by like, there's all this shit going on, all this shit getting broken, these
Mm-hmm.
windows, mirrors, but uh, granted, it's like it's a movie, so it's not like real glass, but at the same time, you're seeing all this glass breaking, you're seeing all these vehicles getting fucking destroyed in some way, shape, or form, just up and a lot of different locations as well, and it's just like this movie feels like it cost a lot of money to make, and yet it didn't.
A couple million
I was just
bucks, which is
I was
you know,
really impressed by how much they were able to accomplish on a fairly limited budget. Like, oh
mhm.
my God, pretty damn cool. And again, like you said, the choreography was really good. It was
So good.
spot on.
Um, was this
Quite
a movie?
frankly, better than anything you'll see in a Rush Hour film.
Yes, that's why I'm saying it's like better than any other Rush Hour movies. That's for that one, unless you
Yeah.
were like a huge fan of Chris Tucker, which they
I think
exist.
that says everything though, because uh, Jackie Chan is in those movies, right?
Hmm.
But he's kind of held back from doing
Very
the kind
much
of
held
stuff
back.
that he did in
He's getting
his
older. He
earlier
had
movies.
injuries. Like, there's a lot of reasons. It wasn't
Yeah,
just that, but also because
yeah.
fucking the insurance companies wouldn't let him do stunts. That was a big
Hmm.
deal. Which is
Yeah.
like, what the fuck do you have
What
Jackie
happens
Chan
when you get to
here?
Hollywood, right?
Yeah, what the fuck do you want Jackie Chan for if you're not gonna make Jackie Chan do what Jackie Chan does?
Yeah.
He's famous for his comedy, but he's famous for his martial arts and his choreography. But you only gave him the one thing, the comedy, which he does well in the movie. But Drive is just there's no downtime in Drive. I think there's like one.
Yeah.
Isn't there an awkward sex scene in Drive?
Um.
Was that the movie that had the awkward sex scene?
I
No,
don't
that was
remember.
Ninja Academy. That had the really
Yeah.
awkward sex scene. Holy fuck!
Oh God.
It's always strange to me.
Don't get
Like,
those two confused, please.
sorry, it's always strange to me when they do movie sex scenes because like it always looks really not fun. It's always like these people have no chemistry in this manner. They don't want to fuck each other, or it's not
Yeah, the
believable.
movies.
It only
Whenever
works if
movies
the two people want to fuck each other. That's it.
Yeah, whenever movies
Or good
try to
acting.
do,
Yeah,
well, not all the time, but mind you, but
not all the time. No.
for the most part, like the stereotypical way that a sex scene is shot in a film, it feels like the fucking filmmaker is trying to make a raunchy painting, uh, Renaissance painting, come to life, and it's like, but
That's not how sex
but
is.
yeah, that's
I
not.
mean, I have look. It can be like that. I have had a
Well,
tryst or
every
two.
single time in every
No,
fucking movie.
I've
That's
had
my
once or
issue.
twice in
That's
my
my
life
issue.
it be that like incredible movie
Yeah.
magic vibe, but most of the time it's like, ow, get off my hair. Oh, my hips popping out of socket. Oh, this, oh that, whatever. It's like
My
it's not a
favorite.
beautiful painting.
That's my favorite part about The Room. It's like, and now
Oh
I
God.
hate that sex scene so much. It's
Oh my
so fucking
God. It's
terrible.
so awkward.
But I
We should
what I
cover
love
that.
about it, what I love about it is that it's clearly the guy actually trying to do the stereotypical kind of sex scene, and it's just awful. It's just like, now you see, this is why you shouldn't be doing sex scenes like this.
We should watch The Room. I haven't seen like the whole thing.
Oh God. Yeah.
We should do a
At
special.
some point, sure.
It'd be cool to do a special screening, like with some fans or whatever. Maybe we should figure that out. We do have a Twitter group now, a
Oh
Twitter
yeah.
community, so maybe it'll be with a Twitter community that we do that. Hmm.
Perhaps.
Perhaps indeed. So yeah,
Ah,
Drive, highly recommend that. That's on Tubi also.
Drive
Trust
is
me.
worth your time. Check it out.
It's worth your 97 minutes. It's so much fun. It's on Blu-ray with an extended edition with like 17 minutes of footage or 10 minutes of footage or something like that.
Now we got to get that because holy shit.
I'm gonna buy
More
that.
Drive?
Yeah, I'm
More?
gonna buy more. Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. I need to own it. Plus, there's like interviews and
Like I was saying,
commentary.
I was shocked what they were able to fit into what we saw in terms of all like the special effects, the practical effects going on in there, and how low the budget was, respectively, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me there's more?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Oh, yeah.
there is more, but there's
Yeah.
more.
This is, of course, we already mentioned it before, but not to be confused with the Ryan Gosling Drive.
Yes.
Not that one. This is 1997.
Well, that's a good movie.
Yes.
1997 Drive is also a good movie.
Mhm.
I would say a
For
better
different
movie.
reasons. Better.
Yeah, I rated. The Ryan Gosling Drive's like I think maybe an 8 or a 9 out of 10. And this drive is 10 out of 10, perfection. It's exact. Here's my rating. Here's my reason for rating. It wanted to be a roller coaster ride action film, and hit all the marks. It didn't fuck up. It was perfect. Within its genre, within its field.
How did the Ryan Gosling one fuck up though?
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey wasn't in Drive. He was in
Oh, he's in Baby Driver. I'm mixing
Baby
them up.
Driver. Yeah,
I'm mixing the
that
movies
one-
up again.
Yeah,
I've literally have always mixed those two up.
I love Baby Driver, but like I don't ever feel like watching it again.
Oh, Bryan
because Kevin
Cranston
Spacey
is
is
in
it.
fucking Drive. And Oscar Isaac. Okay. I need to rewatch this apparently.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
Ron Perlman too.
I'm not gonna dig out my Blu-ray though. It's buried somewhere. Oh, actually, I take it back. 2011 Drive has a 10 out of 10 rating also. So there you go.
So what you were really talking about though was Baby Driver, and I can see
Yeah,
that.
Baby Driver's an 8 out of 10. As much as I love Edgar Wright's films,
Yeah, and I love what
Ansel
they do with the
Elgort,
music in that film. It's amazing.
it would be a 10 out of 10, but Ansel Elgort is one star. Kevin Spacey is the other. Boom,
Yeah.
boom. Can't do it. And I watched it again recently, and like this last year. It's awkward. I mean, it's very awkward seeing these two people. You're supposed to root for this guy, and this guy is like true evil in real life, and like
Yeah,
allegedly.
like
I don't want to say anything too much because he'll actually kill me.
God.
I wish I weren't.
feel-
I wish I weren't spouting a conspiracy theory, but
I feel the same way about another franchise that like is quickly proving itself irredeemable.
oh yeah.
A certain Wizard franchise that I'm.
Oh, it's not been redeemable for about 5 years now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
And
pretty
well, I
irredeemable.
mean, it's like it is.
She
further
masked off in
proving
2020,
itself.
but yeah.
Like, because there's this new game coming out, and it's just like filled with anti-Semitic tropes. It's like,
Look, you're stopping.
um,
What are you talking about? You're stopping an uprising of goblins who don't hook nose. They're her words. Goblins, who are the bankers, but they're enslaved to do this. But we're supposed to revolt. We're supposed to cheer for the
we
people.
must stop the slaves.
But we are
The slave rebellion must
literally
be stopped.
rooting for the people who are putting down the slave rebellion. Anyway,
You were not John Brown in this scenario.
Joanne-
You're the guy who wants to kill John Brown.
Joanne's rotten creations are not welcome on this show. She's not welcome on this show. If she contacted me personally, said she'd be on the show, I would tell her to go eat a bag of turds. Fuck that woman. Horrible person. Look, here's the reality. You can say, oh, but it was a big part of my childhood. Great. Fantastic. I saw all the movies, I read the books. But they're just movies. They're just books. And Joanne's rhetoric has actually killed trans people.
Mm-hmm.
The things she has said has either led to violence against trans people or trans people committing suicide, and that is on her hands. So you can like your little wizard school movie all you want, but the talk about it's not welcome here. In fact, pretty sure I blocked Rowling and Potter from my fucking
A good idea.
chat because
I'm almost regretting bringing it up because
it's
we
like-
probably shouldn't talk.
No, I'll fucking talk about it all day long. Like, here's the thing. Like, if you like that wizarding school, you hate your trans friends. Because you've chosen some weird medium, some piece of media designed by a corporation, divided by a fucking monstrous person over people who you're supposed to care about. And that means you didn't care about them, really. It's just a silly wizard school. There's 100 other pieces of media that are better written, better made. Go find one of those.
There's other fantasy stories too.
Yeah.
Like, why can't you be obsessed with Lord of the Rings?
When someone
Lord of the
follows
Rings
me
is
on,
great.
when someone it's got its own problems with
Yes,
being
but,
only
like,
white people in those things. Like, everyone's depicted as
in
white
the
people.
movies at least, yeah.
And no, there's no depiction of any people of color in the books, to be fair, either. But that being said, it's still better than fucking Turfosaurus Rex's garbage shit. Okay?
Yeah.
And then, but that's by hairs. That's like by hairs. Because, like, I like Tolkien's works, but I'm not afraid to say that like he probably had some ideas that were counter to the ideas we have of today.
Well, yeah, but
And there's also something to be said about him.
product of his time,
There's
and
also something to be said about him writing a story that is subtextually about how people went to war, had love affairs with other men at war, love affairs, not just fucking love affairs, okay, and returned home. And so, away, Sam Gamgee literally there's a line where he says he loves Frodo in a way that's not okay or not acceptable or something like that, or is beyond reason or something. And it's like a little subtext saying like there is a romantic love between these characters, one way at least. But they have different. But Frodo goes elsewhere, and they depart from this war, the taking the ring to Mount Doom. They return to their heteronormative lives, right? So like subtextually, that's there in the writing.
that is the way that type of thing tended to happen back then. Sadly,
Yep.
But
That's what I'm saying. There's something to be said about that. So something you won't find in Harry Potter, where they talk about people who are masculine women with hairy knuckles, which is all just that turfy language to describe trans women. It's gross and just bigoted shit.
I heard that her pen name, like one of her more recent pen names, is literally the name of some guy who fucking, I can't remember what they did, but like some fucking terrible transphobe guy. I can't remember who it was, like specifically chosen for that reason.
I'm not so shocked in the least because she's garbage. So yeah, if you like that famous wizard in school, we don't think we can be friends.
It's
Period.
like
That's it.
It's not even that good. It's
not. That's the thing. It really isn't.
Like when you understand like that, a lot of the tropes.
There's a lot of
much, but a lot of the shit really that she uses in that franchise, and it's like literally from other fantasy stories from throughout all of fucking time, right? And it's just one piece borrowed and plucked from here, and one piece borrowed.
Which a lot of media is Quentin Tarantino, but Quentin Tarantino knows how to put it all together in a way.
But then, like, you find out,
also
she wrote this while she was in Edinburgh, or at least partially she wrote this while she was in Edinburgh. And that's interesting. Edinburgh Castle looks a lot like Hogwarts. And that's interesting. A lot of the names of the characters just so happen to be on some of the tombstones
I'll tell you right now, Harry Potter. The name Harry Potter was stolen from Troll. I'll fucking fight anybody who says otherwise.
Yeah,
the main character's name is fucking Troll.
I would argue that most of the shit in that fucking franchise was stolen from one thing or another.
Yeah,
like
not stolen, but referenced, homaged, appropriated. But like, I mean, it's no different. Maybe. Look. I'll be really honest. A lot of the tropes, it's all Star Wars. Star Wars is just tropes. So it's like, but it's done well.
I feel like this is way different, though.
It is because it's done well.
Yeah,
that's the difference. That's literally the difference. Star Wars is done well.
Because here's the thing that I realized about Star Wars versus Harry Potter, right? Here's the thing.
A debate.
Darth Vader is a bad guy who we find out, why he has become what he is. And there's like an impetus behind who he is and what he does.
Yeah.
And at one point, there's even like a redeeming moment for him, which isn't very redemptive when you find out all the shit that he actually did.
Which is why he had to die, though. That's the thing. His redemption is dying finally, but in a heroic manner. That's the redemption. He dies as a hero.
But like, he's a complex
Hitler character,
villain.
Basically.
He is a villain, but he has complexity to him. Voldemort has no complexity. He is evil
and jealous
because he is evil.
And he's angry at Harry Potter because he couldn't destroy him.
Because he is bad.
He couldn't. He's mad at Harry Potter because he didn't kill him. Instead, he let the lightning bolt on his head. That's why he's angry. That's it.
Yeah.
And like he's worried about some prophecy. The thing is like the depth of Voldemort is simply that he's worried about some prophecy, so he's trying to destroy a kid, which makes the prophecy come true. Well, that's real deep. But there's no layering for that, so it's just like, oh, that's cool. Okay.
Mhm.
Anyway, her crap ass books and crap ass media based off it. You know, like I
Yeah.
liked the Harry Potter movies, but the minute she like started being real shitty, I literally took the box set and hid it behind Godzilla and Gamera and Dimasion and Hellraiser and a bunch of other shit that's way better than it. So
I liked them too until I started kind of reading into it. And there were
yeah.
elements of like the later movies that even before I knew any of this shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, that was not very original or creative or unique. It's like I just began realizing like, oh, this is just the same story I've heard a million
I think
times,
like the
but
houses are the
with
only thing
Harry
that
Potter
she
instead.
really did in that franchise that was like good. The houses, but there's these specific houses, and all children must fit in these neat boxes. When there's clearly kids who just aren't right for those houses. I don't know. It's weird like that. I don't know. There's problems in even the good parts of her writing and her concept.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't matter. None of it matters because she's a giant piece of shit.
Hmm.
Not even allegedly. That's actual factual information. She's a giant piece of shit. She's been given sentience by shitlord fucking god or something. I don't know. Someone needs to
She's
take
fucking
Joanne's keyboard away from her. Someone needs to take her phone from
holy
her.
shit that she's even
She,
now that she says it's fucking ridiculous.
my
Like, oh
favorite
my
part is she
god.
tried to sue someone who took a photo of her house that's on fucking Wikipedia. Her house is on Wikipedia. It's no
Yeah.
public information where she lives. She lives in a famous historical landmark.
That they tour buses go by every day, by the
Yep.
way.
Yep. Yep.
Like
Exactly.
point out every single day.
My favorite part about the right is they always call us snowflakes while whining louder than any of us have ever whined about things. Like, who's the snowflake
About
here?
objectively stupid shit too.
Yeah. Oh, you had to wear a mask? Who's the snowflake again? I'm so confused. Who is the snowflake? Who it is? Who is it? The one whining about have the slight inconvenience of wearing a mask, or like I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of, like I said, when they sling woke at you, you know, they're just talking about how it's fucking.
It's not a slight inconvenience. It's a cloth mask. It's a
They're
fucking mask.
they're like, yeah, that's
You
just some
put
woke.
one end on this ear and one end on this ear.
That's some woke bullshit. I want to sleepwalk through life. Thank you.
Have you ever put a mask on for fucking Halloween?
My
Did you bitch and
freedoms.
whine and moan about that? It's just
My freedoms. My freedoms.
ugh.
Uh,
Anyways, this went off the rails.
this whole episode's been off the rails. Back on again. It's been a weird episode. We talked for 2 hours. We should probably go. Thank you everyone for
We
joining.
talked about everything we wanted to, so yeah.
Thank you everyone for blah, blah, blah. Thank you everyone for joining me. I was supposed to stream tomorrow, but it turns out I am booked. Tomorrow I've got D&D, then I've got a date, and then I've got to run from that date and go hang out with Justin when I'm done with that date. Because one of those people works early on Friday, so it won't be too late. And I figure you'll be all right starting at like 8 p.m. or whatever, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not gonna get back.
So
yeah.
there's no stream tomorrow. There will be a stream at either 4 p.m., 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. No, it'll be at 3 p.m. or it will be at 6 p.m. on Friday. It depends on the order of things that happen. I'm watching movies with two different people, but one of those people oftentimes messages me at like 1 in the afternoon to watch the movie, so it gets done earlier. I have it slotted at 7, so normally I do the stream between the two. This week's just been as crowded. I'm sorry, chat. And Saturday, I have D&D with a different group of people. And movies with Justin, so there's no stream. Sunday, I'll be back for sure at noon Pacific with Jocelyn, the Geek Corner, here on Twitch. We'll probably playing Gunfire Reborn. And Monday, for sure, 1 p.m. Pacific time, Borderlands 3 with my trans lady friends and my doll friend and my non-binary friend. Yep. It's a bunch of trans people. It's pretty awesome. Anyway.
Fucking A.
That's it. That's all things slated right now. So I'll see y'all then. But bye, everyone.
Bye.